If you're the nominee, how will you describe Secretary of State Hillary Clinton's foreign policy?
I would say that it's, if you want a third term of Barack Obama's, you're going to get it, because she was there when all of this took place. And, you know, you can take loyalty up to a certain amount, but she was there making these decisions. She pushed that reset button with Russia, and it didn't work out. She was responsible for the Libyan policy that was an abject failure. She, along with President Obama, could have signed the forces agreement between Iraq and the United States that would have created stability and not allowed ISIS to exist. She was there with the red line in Syria that created such problems for the United States around the world. This presidency has failed in terms of its foreign policy, and she will. This is what she's touting, that she has the experience of being Secretary of State.
More expensive. This is about nationalizing effectively the education system, and considering the public school system is doing so well right now, let's infect the college system as well. Look, why not make it $1 trillion? Why not make it $2 trillion? When you get to a certain point, this is her being Santa Claus, wanting effectively in this.
Although the irony, though, Steve, is that Bernie Sanders, his plan probably would be $1 trillion if we added it up. I mean, this is considered the moderate, the thoughtful Democratic proposal here.
Yeah, socialism light, but it's simply part of the Obama administration's plan, and she will be a third term of Obama, to put more clause in more parts of American life. Higher education already is in the thrall of the federal bureaucracy. If they send a letter to a college saying, we suggest, that's a command. You don't even have to go through the regulatory process anymore. This will make higher education more of a subsidiary of the federal government, and you know what that means in terms of curriculum and what our students are going to get in the classroom.
And that was a really crazy dynamic, Crystal, which is that Obama brings in Biden, treats him with total contempt. And much of Biden's objections as vice president are quite reasonable. He's like, hey, Obama should be working harder in order to actually play politics in order to get something done. He's like, hey, Obama should not have more troops in Afghanistan. I'm like, oh, great. Where did that guy come? Yeah. And all of a sudden, during the primary, despite the fact that Obama scorned him, refused to endorse him, he hires all of his former staff. He's, puts out the friendship bracelet, that best friends forever thing. And he's basically turning, he's a 78-year-old man, right? Let's be honest. What is the presidency going to be whenever you're that old? Obama's basically running the show. It is the Obama legacy through and through. And Biden is just, I guess, either not smart enough or too weak in order to actually try and put his own brand abroad in the presidency. Now Obama is again running the show, and I just think we're in for an Obama third term, but without any of Obama's unique capabilities as a politician.
Inspirational.
I have to also say that Africa's democratic progress is also at risk when leaders refuse to step aside when their terms end. Now, let me be honest with you. I do not understand this. I am in my second term. It has been an extraordinary privilege for me to serve as the President of the United States. I cannot imagine a greater honor or a more interesting job. I love my work. But under our Constitution, I cannot run again. I can't run again. I actually think I'm a pretty good president. I think if I ran, I could win. But I can't.
What you know now, do you wish you had a third term? And I used to say, you know what, if I could make an arrangement where I had a stand-in, a front man or front woman, and they had an earpiece in, and I was just in my basement in my sweats, looking through the stuff, and then I could sort of deliver the lines, but somebody else was doing all the talking and ceremony. Wow. I'd be fine with it.
What we're seeing here is not the first term of Joe Biden. It's the third term of Barack Obama. And we have to be very clear about that. So Barack Obama achieved a lot of things which frightened a lot of Americans. One of them that frightened them the most, and which was opposed by up to almost 3/4 of Americans opposed the Iran nuclear deal. Yep. But Barack Obama saw it as his signature, and Joe Biden has said that he will his team are renegotiating that. So what we saw with the Abraham Accords was obviously an attempt by countries in the region to say, no, we see Iran as the threat. Do not unlock $100 billion for Iran to turbocharge the destabilization and terror in the Middle East and beyond. But unfortunately, that's what Barack Obama did. And as I wrote in the Spectator Australia this week, Joe Biden is a puppet on a string. He's not a president. He is the marionette, and his masters are Barack Obama and the radical left, who want to seize this opportunity to remake America according to their...
How long, Rebecca, do you think the puppet will serve its purposes before he's discarded and Kamala is put in?
Well, let's see how it goes. But when Joe Biden was asked in December, what happens if you and the vice president have a disagreement, he said, well, I'll probably get some sort of an illness and just have to resign.
Nancy Pelosi just sort of slipped. This is just a very subtle slip in what she's saying here. Well, you listen.
Keep government open. We have to do those imminently, more imminently even, to address the full Obama agenda of building back better and I love to say building back better.
Nancy, you just said the quiet part out loud. You do know that Joe Biden is the guy that we're supposed to think is president and in charge of everything? Allow me to quote her. Keep government open to address the full Obama agenda of building back better. She meant Biden, but she said Obama. And, often this is now coming up all the time because anyone with half a brain realizes that Biden is not in charge, right? He's just not. He's the figurehead that they put out there to read often poorly off the teleprompter and mumble and stumble through anything that he's doing. But you are now seeing what this really is about. And this is about Obama basically getting a third term.
Given the number of former Obama administration officials that are now in this Biden administration and the president's relatively light schedule, there's a growing perception that this is really just the third term of President Obama. What do you say to people who say that?
Who were saying that? Who's saying that?
You hear that a lot in the media.
Who in the media?
Different people.
Well,
there was lots of questions about when you had Japanese Prime Minister Suga here on the one and only so far in-person bilateral head of state meeting. It was Vice President Kamala Harris who greeted the Prime Minister. Many people found that odd. She's already taking independent one-on-one calls with key allies like Prime Minister Morrison and Justin Trudeau. So I just want to get your reaction to people who question that.
Well, it's hard to react when I don't know what people you're talking about. I will say that the president met with the prime minister, as you know, and had a full meeting, a full press conference afterwards, and they even shared a meal. So, and the president has had dozens of conversations and calls with world leaders, and should be no surprise that the vice president is also playing an important role, engaging with and having discussions with foreign leaders.
It's more so than other vice presidents have.
How so? I'd love to see the data. If you want to present that to us.
Provide you with that sometimes, and would
sure.
love to get your reaction on it.
Would welcome it.
Jen, before I get rid of you, which I'm enjoying you so much today, I really am.
I'm enjoying you too.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
But a little bird told me that you said you might be resigning the job this year. Say it isn't so. Is it true?
I don't know when I'm leaving. This is an honor and a privilege, and I love working for President Biden every single day. And I love working for President Biden every single day. And I love working for President Biden.
So today, as you all saw just an hour or so ago, President Obama announced that. So today, as you all saw just an hour or so ago, President Obama announced that, pardon me, President Biden. Whoa! That is news.
What if I could make an arrangement where I had a stand-in, a front man or front woman, and they had an earpiece in, and I was just in my basement in my sweats, looking through the stuff, and then I could sort of deliver the lines, but somebody else was doing all the talking and ceremony. Wow. I'd be fine with that.
I don't like him. I love him, and it's a mutual thing. We've had each other's backs, and I'll be there for him anything he ever wants.